about to get real. Cashflow King with you tonight. And in today's episode, we have March Madness. That's right. Tomorrow, the games begin. Hopefully you got your bracket filled out. You're excited about it. I actually thought about doing one for the show, and at this point, it's just too late. So hopefully everybody has found a group of friends or coworkers or whomever if you're interested in college basketball. We got a little friendly action going on here in the Cashflow King corner. $10 an entry, winner take all, brackets submitted, and we'll have some fun with it. So this is going to be a fairly quick episode here. I just wanted to bring you guys a few nuggets leading into the end of the month before we have our next episode launch with a new guest. First and foremost, before we get into today's episode, I just want to wish a very happy birthday to one of our premium subscribers who's also a guest. We recorded a few months ago, but there's been some delays with putting the episode out for various reasons. However, that episode will be launching in likely April at this point in Q2 for sure. I have it scheduled right now for tax day on April 15th. We may push it out as late as May 1st, but after that, I'm not letting it go any further. But very happy birthday to the Daycare Diva. So happy birthday to you. Sorry I forgot to send you a message earlier in the day, but you get an extra shout out on the podcast here. Also, in the spirit of March Madness, we are going to do a flash sale for our premium subscription. We're going to knock it down currently for March Madness to a whopping $3 a month. So if you've been on the fence and you're not premium and you want to get a chance to go ahead and join the A-Team for the lowest price that Buzzsprout will let me offer, which is a whopping $3 a month, and they take their 15% off of that. So we get a big $285 to the show. Feel free to click on the link in your show notes to find out more about becoming premium. A couple of, selling points, if you will, or things to keep in mind with the premium membership. We are coming into the end of the quarter here in Q1, and as you'll see if you click the link, we do a quarterly giveaway. I typically give away at least $25. Usually it's an Amazon e-gift card. We do not have a ton of premium subscribers by any means. We're trying to grow that, so your chances are actually pretty good to potentially win a $25 Amazon e-gift card. So that's one item. The other thing is I just released, one of the other benefits you get in terms of being premium is you do get the occasional premium bonus episodes. And I recently purchased my second Rolex and was very excited about that. Not something I wanted to spend too much time on the general podcast, but I know some people are into watches. And so I recently recorded, it's about a 45-minute, I believe, episode on buying Rolexes and the AD experience. So if you're not premium, you probably won't see that pop up on your feed, but if you are a premium subscriber, you get your own private RSS feed, and you'll have access to all the normal episodes like this one, but you'll also have access to those additional premium episodes that come out from time to time, if that's of interest. And then finally, also in the spirit of closing out here in Q1, we do a quarterly e-newsletter that gets emailed out to you. So that will be coming out here in the next few weeks. So if you want a chance to check that out, be a recipient of that newsletter, you can go ahead and sign up right now with the $3 a month flash sale. And we appreciate your support. That's what keeps the show going. That's what helps pay for the show. Like I said, I like to give back and do those giveaways. It keeps it fun. It keeps it exciting. And to be honest with you, I get more excitement out of somebody signing up for a $3 a month subscription than I would if somebody wrote me a check for $1,000. It's just, for whatever reason, it's like a game to me, and it just shows that we actually have people out there listening and they give a shit. And so, I do my best to give back and really provide value for those folks. Just ask anybody, including Cashflow Rockefeller Prince, about how much he's made in bank bonuses. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, all right, so that's a little bit about that. Shout out to Credit Union Cowboy. He's basically the reason I'm recording this episode tonight. We had dinner the other night. Actually, I think it was last night, matter of fact. And he brought something, I actually feel kind of stupid because he mentioned something, he brought something to my attention that really I just didn't think about. So I'm going to take you guys back a little bit. This has to do with estate planning. And I know it's definitely not the hottest topic for a lot of people, but if you haven't already gotten your estate planning affairs in order, whether you do that through an online service, and shameless plug, we just submitted an affiliate application to one of those online services to be able to offer that to our listeners. So we probably won't hear back for, I would imagine, a week or so. But if you come back to this episode, we might put it in some other episodes as well if we get approved. Our affiliate link, if you want to help and support the show, and you do need to get some of that stuff in order, you can click on the link to do that. So estate planning documents, we've done shows on this before, fairly short episodes. So if you want to go back in the archives, you can search estate planning and listen more about that. This isn't going to be a show about really the nuts and bolts of it per se, or the reasons that you should do it. But it's something I think that can get overlooked, and I'm embarrassed to say that it's something that I at least partially overlooked myself. So back probably about 10 years ago now, right around the time where I was, studying for and getting ready to become a CFP, a certified financial planner, the rest of my financial house was in order, and I kind of felt silly going through the estate planning portion of the coursework and like, hey, I still don't have these documents done. At the time, we didn't have a child. I don't even think at the time, 10 years ago, my wife and I weren't together, so I wasn't married. But it's still something that I wanted to get done just in case I got hit by the proverbial bus. I wouldn't leave a mess to those that I left behind. So, other family members and such. So I decided to get those documents and have since updated those a couple of times, when you have major life events, whether it's, marriage or you have a child, and both of those things have happened since then for me. So I went ahead and updated and made amendments to some things. But then the copies, I had copies of those documents here at the house and, in my files, and my estate planning attorney has copies at his office in his files. And I'm proud to say that unlike, I feel like a lot of people, if you've ever gone into the emergency room or just your doctor's office visit for an appointment, a lot of times they'll ask you if you have any, living will, advanced medical directives, power of attorney, and so forth. And most people, they're probably used to them just saying no. I was on top of it enough to update, when I had those documents updated, to upload those to the portal and have those on file with the medical facility, with the hospital, which is great. However, what I didn't do, and I would imagine there's a lot of people that fall into this camp, is I didn't actually provide copies of the relevant documents to people that need to have a copy of them. I'm literally sitting at my dining room table right now looking at 8 or 9 envelopes that are going to be going to certain individuals with the relevant documents that they need to have with regard to our estate plan. And I'm kind of embarrassed really to have that happen. It was a kind of a wake-up call for me in a way. But again, shout out to Credit Union Cowboy, because we were talking about this and I thought, shit, I really don't want to fucking do that. Like, I've already done the hard part. I've already got the documents done and I have them saved. My attorney has them saved. I got shit on file with the hospital, whatever. But I really don't want to have to go back through on my computer and print out a bunch of different copies, and it was a pain in the ass. It took me actually a couple hours today to get through all of it and staple them up and get the envelopes ready and make sure that who needs to have this information, who needs to have more than just this information, and make sure that again the relevant people have the relevant documents. But I decided to go ahead and do that, and finally, now that I'm completed and finished with that, I'm glad that I did. I'm not going to lie, it was a fucking pain in the ass, but there is sort of a sense of peace, I guess, that comes with that once that is completed. And it's, if you think about it, you're actually helping out the people, your loved ones, that are important enough to name in those documents. And I think we all owe it to those folks in our lives to make sure they have what they need to quote unquote be successful, if you want to call it that, in the event something happens, right? Whether somebody becomes disabled or somebody passes away or whatever the case might be, and whatever relevant documents you might have, it's important that they have that information because if the worst happens and somebody does pass away, that's a difficult time in and of itself for obvious reasons. The last thing people are going to want to have to do is scramble to sort of pick up the pieces and figure things out, like, assuming they didn't know, well, did so-and-so want to be buried? Did they want to be cremated? Or goodness forbid, you find yourself in a situation where decisions need to be made in a medical setting. And it's like, well, do they have a DNR on file or not? Is that something that they wanted? What happens? Where are their assets? Who the fuck do we call when shit hits the fan? Did they have certain bank accounts or investment accounts or real estate? Did they owe, different creditors money? Who do they owe? All those things that are associated with it. And I just think it's important to be able to provide that information. I even have a document, and this is something that I didn't do originally, and every state's different, so you want to check with your specific state, and I'm sure you could do something similar to this, but it's basically like a funeral planning declaration, and it kind of goes over, some different things about what I want to happen, when I'm no longer here. But there was a cool part of it, and there's a little checkbox here that I put when I was sitting down with my attorney. It says, in addition to the instructions listed above, I request the following. And I put celebration of life party following funeral services with food and drinks, in parentheses, including alcohol, at a location to be determined by the designee, paid for by my estate. So you can do all kinds of cool little things. I basically want them to throw a fucking party and booze it up and celebrate the life that I had, and to the extent that is practicable to not, obviously people are going to be upset, hopefully. That sounds weird to say. Hopefully or hopefully not. I don't know. Hopefully I will be missed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, I want them to have a good time and get together and just, have a celebration, sort of an end of life celebration or celebration of life, if you will. And so everyone is going to be different on that in terms of what they want to have done or not have done, or, what that looks like. But just, it's kind of cool to be able to put that in there and be like, okay, so-and-so is responsible for coordinating and delivering this. And if that person's not there, then it goes to such and such, right? And so you can spell all of that out. And, we even have some provisions in there about if something happens to us and assets go to our daughter, how are those, essentially distributed to her at certain frequencies? When she's a certain age, she gets a certain percentage. You can get as creative or not as you want with that stuff. And so, although nobody really looks forward probably to doing estate planning, it's kind of a necessary evil, if you will, in terms of the conversations that you need to have and the things you need to think about. But I'm just here to say tonight that if you've done all that, first of all, congratulations and kudos to you, because you're probably in the very minority of people that have done that, because most people, even elderly people, or they finally get around to saying, oh yeah, we need to go and get our estate planning stuff done. And I don't think it's something that should be reserved just for when you hit a particular age, right? And a lot of people would argue, well, we don't have that much in terms of assets. We don't have that much money, this, that, or the other thing. But there's still certain documents that you pretty much need to have. And so sometimes, you got to suck it up, you got to bite the bullet, and you got to get the work done. But once you've done that, if you've done that, first of all, congratulations again. But secondly, and this is where I fell short, you got to make sure that the people that need to have those documents have those documents. I don't necessarily know that it's enough for them to just know, hey, I got my shit done with so-and-so attorney, so if I get hit by a bus or I pass away, you need to go contact them. Maybe that's a good starting point, but it's probably not enough, especially if you want to be helpful to those that you love. So what I decided to do again is put those documents together. I also included, and I thought this would be helpful, especially if you have stuff in many different places, I put in sort of a list of assets at the end. Now, it's, there's some information in there that's kind of essentially redacted. It's not a complete full-blown balance sheet, but it's pretty darn close. And it's, what is the asset, what is the ownership, and any other relevant information. But you don't necessarily have to go putting in dollar amounts and things like that. So, I have a section for banking, a section for investments, for real estate syndications, life insurance, real estate, like real property owned, other assets and other liabilities. And it's simply, okay, just the basic information. Hey, this is the institution. this is the type of account I have at that institution, or we have at that institution. Here's the ownership of it. And then they can pretty much take it from there. You just want to give them a head start. You can certainly do more than that if you want to, but I don't necessarily think that it is absolutely necessary to list every itty bitty detail with account numbers and dollar amounts down to the penny and things like that. I almost think in some cases that's too much information. Not that it's too much information for, to give and provide to those that you love, but in the event that document ever ended up in the wrong hands, you want enough information on there to be helpful to the right people, but not too much information that it becomes an identity thief's dream, right? And that's kind of what I think we're going for here as far as this document goes. So that's something else that I decided to include with just the other executed estate planning documents. So I don't want to drag this out any further than I need to, but again, I just wanted to mention how important I think that is and what a great idea I think it is that you make sure those people have the important documents that they need, explain to them, what they are, ask them to put them in a safe place, and in the event something ever happens, they know exactly where to go and they have what they need in order to carry out whatever it is that they need to carry out. So just my quick public service announcement on that. I do think that it's very, very important. So hopefully, if there's somebody else out there, I'm sure there's got to be at least one person listening to this show that's like, yep, that's me too. Got my documents done, threw them in a fucking safe, have them at my attorney's office. They're sitting on my computer and I haven't given them to whomever I need to give them to. This is your wake-up call to do that. Like I said, yeah, not the most fun thing, but you'll be happy when it's done. And I'm happy that it's done. Now all I have to do is distribute these envelopes to the appropriate people, and we're good to go. And then obviously, if you do any amendments, you're going to want to update that. You may want to update the list of assets every couple years or however you want to do it with that frequency to make sure that everything is still up to date to the extent possible there. But hopefully this is a good starting point for all of us. So once again, as we close out tonight's show, happy birthday to Daycare Diva. Flash sale for March Madness. Premium subscription, $3. Let's do it, people. Quarterly giveaways, premium episodes, quarterly e-newsletters, shout out on the upcoming episodes, so on and so forth. And again, shout out to Credit Union Cowboy for, I know he probably didn't mean to do this when we were talking about it, but I was like, fuck, man, like it's good shit. Like, you're right, and I need to get this, I need to get this stuff printed and distributed. So that was my wake-up call, and I did it, and it's done. All right, we do have and I started putting this in our e-newsletter, so I'm not going to spoil it. We'll still give our premium subscribers a little extra insight, but we do have a couple of cool guests that are coming up that are going to be dropping in Q2. As always, if you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to the show, realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. If you would like to be on the show or know somebody that would like to be on the show, you can also send an email to realtalkpersonalfinance@gmail.com. Happy to entertain that. And that's all I have for you guys today. So enjoy March Madness. Consider becoming premium. And we will see you in the next episode.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.